Okay. Yeah. As women over a certain age, as they like to say, okay, so basically over 40, 50, 60 plus, we can get burned out. And when I mean burned out, I mean literally stuck in life, stuck in career, and stuck in just about everything. Because, as we've said before, life can be lifing, but life is really great. But there are times when we get stuck and we don't know what to do about it. And so today we are talking to Nancy Kay because we're going to talk about adding a little horseplay. And by that, I really mean horseplay into your life to get unstuck. And just wait until you hear Nancy's story. So we're going to spend about the next 20 minutes learning about Equus Coaching. EQUUS. What a unique word, isn't it? We're going to talk about Equus Coaching and how it is our guest got into it. And trust me when I say her journey again is really fascinating. We're talking about alcoholism, unaliving. We're talking about all those things that, again, gets us so stuck in our heads that for Nancy, she needed to find a way out instead of the most drastic way people have sadly chosen to handle being stuck in life or depression or alcoholism, or whatever it may be. I can't wait for you to meet Nancy. I met her just, several years ago when I started my company, Second Act Women. So I want to welcome you to Second Act Show with Barbara Brooks and friends. I am your age-friendly, pro-aging, age-positive host of the show. And I tell you what, starting in August on Sundays, I'm not just dropping the Second Act Show podcast onto YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast, but I am also dropping a new, get this, because I'm solo. I'm a solo ager, y'all. So I am dropping a new Sunday 10 to 15 minute peek into not only my life, but other lives, really, my life, as a single, savvy, silver streaking woman over 50. So that's going to drop on Sundays. Just a little, I'm just going to get real, even more real, because it's not as if I don't get real inside of the Second Act podcast, right? But I am going to get a little bit more real. I'm going to talk about solo aging, how Riley B and myself are living our lives out as a silver woman at 57. And I think it's going to be fun. I'm just going to get even more real. So anyway, join me beginning in August on Sundays for a, 7 to 10, maybe 15 minute peek into the life of a solo ager, like everything. Like so much where my mom's probably going to say, do you have to share all that? Okay, she's already said that when I talk about Facebook. I do share a lot on Facebook. So what is Equus Coaching? We've all heard about the intuitiveness, or maybe you haven't, but I just learned it thanks to Chester and Nancy. Chester is the horse that I learned about Equus Coaching and what it is and how it is they can help us as human beings. That's Riley B. That's just going to happen. So Equus Coaching is really works in helping us in partnership with a horse and creating and learning and understanding how it is we can get unstuck, because they are keenly intuitive to not just being attuned to our slightest expressions, but also our body language, our emotions, our change in energy. It is quite fascinating what happens when you are in the center of a pen, literally in the center of a pen, where there is outdoors, of course, where there is a horse just kind of like chilling, circling around you as the Coach Nancy in particular, is standing there getting you to open up about something because you've expressed to your Equus coach things that are going on, but you don't know what those things are. Pardon me, you don't even know how to express what those things are until Nancy, a coach like Nancy, gets you to open up. And you know what's happening? Again, for me, it was Chester. Pardon me. For me, it was Chester. And he was just circling as Nancy is standing outside of the pin, peering into my life, trying to get me to open up so that I can figure out what is happening, how it is, and why it is I'm stuck, or what are things that I have maybe experienced when I'm going through a depressive bout, whatever it is. I am standing there, and finally what is happening is, as she's asking me these poignant questions, I'm finally starting to open up, and Chester is circling me. But from the outside, I think he was waiting until I poured tears out of my face. The minute she broke through, the minute Nancy asked me that one question that had me break through, Chester, who was doing this around me, immediately was like, oink! He immediately was there in my face, there for me. And a time where I was having a hardship, I was expressing what was going on, how I was feeling, tears again streaming down my face. Chester was there for me because, as I said, he felt that energy, he felt the emotions, he was intuitively understanding that he needed to be there for me and with me at that moment. And it was a beautiful thing. If you've not experienced Equus coaching, I am telling you, it is worth every investment. Of course, I always preach that we need to invest in ourselves, but I highly recommend experiencing Equus coaching. It's a whole nother level of life coaching. And so our guest today, I was so happy that I was there actually with my business partner, my former business partner, still bestie, Lupe. And it was fascinating. By the way, Lupe went first. And I am a person who's not woo. Lupe's woo. And we always teased each other about that. And so for me, I witnessed Chester first with Lupe. And I thought, okay, surely I'm not going to get that deep. I'm not going to be able to get that deep. And that horse is not going to really understand me. Yes, he did. Not only did he understand, obviously, Lupe and her moment of need and needing that horse to be there for her, I personally, again, witnessed it for myself. And so today I want to thank Nancy for coming on and sharing not only her fascinating story about her journey to soberness, her journey of, no, I'm going to let her share her story. But what I want to share is that let me bring her on. Let me just bring Nancy on. Hi, Nancy. I just couldn't go any further. I got to bring you on. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Barbara. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I needed to find the pictures, and I'm going to find them, the pictures of Chester, my main man, Chester, from that day, because that was a fascinating day.
I've got a bunch of them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Share them with me. I know they're somewhere in Google Drive somewhere, but I would love to put that as part of us telling the story. But, there was a point in time in your life where you hit rock bottom, you said, and in 2009 is when you went sober, and you, at that, just years later at 2015, you kicked cancer's arse. You kicked her ass. Before we talk about Equus coaching and what it is and how you transform lives and you help people like me and Lupe, can you share with us your story about before you started this new career, about needing to sober up? Why? What happened?
Well, I was always a party girl. I started drinking in high school. Yep, I partied just like you do and had a grand time of it all. And alcohol worked for me until it didn't. And it was my father's death by suicide in 2007 that tipped me over the edge. So I was full of grief and guilt and you name every emotion in the book, and I had it, and I used alcohol to cope with it. I mean, I just started over drinking a lot, and it got to the point where my hands shook so bad I couldn't draw my eyeliner on in the morning.
Because you were wanting your next drink, is that what it is? Or
well, yeah, I was hungover, and I woke up with the shakes, and just horrible hangover, and it was affecting my. At the time, I was self-employed. I was a kitchen and bath designer. It was affecting my ability to do my job, and so, one day we were out for happy hour and met a bunch of friends and came home, and I forgot to tell my husband before we pulled in the garage that we needed to get another bottle of wine. And because I'd finished the little bit that was left before we went to the bar. And his response was, well, I think you've had enough.
So he wasn't the drinker. He
wasn't. Oh, no, he was a drinker.
He just knew when to say no, or when
no. But
okay,
on that particular day, he didn't have as much to drink as I did.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And I really didn't have that much to drink. It was just how it hit me on that day. So I believe, and we can get into beliefs in a bit, but I believe that I was in the middle of a mental breakdown, for lack of a better term, a psychotic break sort of thing. I've been diagnosed as depressive, and I've been on medication for years and years. And
before this, Nancy,
had been? Yeah. And here's the other thing is, when you're on antidepressants, you shouldn't drink because it counteracts the antidepressant, because alcohol is a depressant. And so when you're taking antidepressants and you're pouring alcohol over it, it's negating the effects of the antidepressant.
Oh, yeah.
So that was happening. I was, I was just in a bad spot in my life, and very emotional, and so on and so forth. And so anyway, I get I think you've had enough. And I fly off the handle and, storm into the bedroom and slam the door. And in, kind of 0 to 60 seconds, I go from that to being just absolutely devastated. And
what were you devastated in, Nancy? Devastated in him stopping you, or in that moment realizing?
Well, it was that, what actually got to me was, I'm no good to anybody, was the final thought. It was that everybody would be better off without me. I'm just ruining everything.
Wow.
And so, I don't want to get, graphic about this, but I made an attempt.
Mm.
And fortunately, I don't know how to handle guns very well. So the only thing that got shot was an innocent pillow on the bed and not me. And that was the last time I had a drink of alcohol. Because
Wow.
I realized I couldn't drink safely anymore.
So there was an actual bullet that came out of the chamber
Yes.
and missed you and got the pillow, basically.
Yes. I didn't
Wow.
realize initially that the safety was on, and so I lowered the gun to try to figure out how to work it, and it fired when when it was in a downward position.
Oh my goodness. And so, Nancy, that was your wake up call. Unlike with some people, they would attempt um, you instead something. What was that? Was it just this moment of clarity? Even though you were drunk, obviously, was there this moment of what am I doing?
Well, I scared myself sober,
You
basically, and
scared yourself sober.
I've written about this in a couple of books, but it's I was I call it I was standing at the intersection of desperation and grace. Something, my higher power, who I didn't believe in at the time, stepped in. Somehow something happened that gun didn't go off when I had it pointed at my head.
What an absolute blessing. Because you, just knowing you for now, I want to say 4 years, you are such an amazing human being. I say amazing human being, it's called amazing outlook coaching. But how many lives would not have been affected, pardon me, would not have been affected by you had you followed through? So it's an absolute blessing because that then did what? Is that when you decided? Yeah, because that wasn't even the cancer yet. The cancer was years to
Right.
come,
That
right?
was 6 years later.
So then what happened between that and in 2009 when you had that awakening, so to scared straight, literally, you stopped immediately or what? Or did how? And then
One of my neighbors was in recovery, and she took me to my first couple of AA meetings, and that worked for me for a long time. I was absolutely devastated that it had come to that. I was mortified.
yeah.
Um, and they saved my life. They absolutely saved my life. And so, I was, my first year recovery was my full-time job practically. I just really concentrated on getting well and changing my life and doing the deep work that is necessary, and I did. And
Nancy,
then
how old were you? What was your age in 2009?
52.
So you had been drinking and being a party girl for over
Ever since
30
high
years.
school. Yeah.
And to quit cold turkey, which is very difficult for any ism, alcoholism, there's not a thing as smokeism, but smoking.
No, but yeah. And
difficult to do.
Right. And I was still smoking at the time. And, so a little over a year later, I got a great job back in the oil and gas industry, which I had been in years before. Okay. And, it was fabulous and life was good. And I was, working hard and getting promotions and things were grand. And then I was, I had an incident in November of 2014 where I got out of the shower, doubled over in pain, thought I was having an appendicitis, and went to the ER, and they said I had a fibroid tumor on my right ovary.
Oh,
And to follow up with my doctor. And so I did. She was very patronizing because I'd been a pain in the ass trying to get in like immediately.
Uh-huh.
And she said, Nancy, fibroids rarely turn to cancer.
She did not.
She did. And she, then she said, if you're really that worried about it, we'll do a follow-up, not today, but, in 6 weeks, sort of thing. So we did the follow-up the first week of January, and she called me sheepishly and said, I'm sorry to say that you have a mass on your right ovary, and I am referring you to an oncologist.
Did she apologize? Not that a doctor can. I'm not sure if
no, not so much. And I reported her to the AMA and tried to have her license revoked, but that didn't happen. So
that could have been your life, Nancy. That could have literally.
Well, it could have been. Yeah, if I had ignored it, because the pain went away. Pain went away. Never came back up until, then I had a hysterectomy on my 58th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And woke up to learn that I had stage 1C ovarian cancer, which is early stage.
Yeah, thank God they caught it early.
But I still had to, they still highly encouraged me to do chemo, which I wasn't going to do because I saw what it did to my mom. And I had a good friend of mine die basically while she was having chemo. She had a very severe reaction and died from it. And so I wasn't going to do it. And then somehow that higher power, something just clicked, and I decided that I would do it. And I'm glad I did.
So that's also a story of self-advocacy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because other people may have just, because she's a doctor, they may have just listened to her and think, okay, if she doesn't think it's anything, then I'm just going to go about my life. But thankfully, and that I think that's a testament to also this time in our lives, though, where we know most of the time to self-advocate for ourselves. But also, some people might not have even wanted to know, so they might have even more accepted what she said because, okay, I don't even want to know. So good thing she, I'm not going to get a second opinion, but thank goodness you did. That you followed through.
Well, and I didn't get a second opinion, but I did ask for that test to, another scan to be done. And so
you still advocated, right?
Right. Absolutely. And so at this point, I just want to pop in and say what the symptoms are for ovarian cancer, because there's not a test.
Okay, tell us.
No test. So a pap smear does not find ovarian cancer. And most women think it does, but it does not. So there is no test. So you need to be aware of the symptoms. And they are urinating frequently, feeling bloated, feeling full after you eat, and maybe not a full meal, but you get full quicker, and irregular bowel habits, if you're pooping differently than you normally do. And so, like a lower backache could be part of a symptom. And I thought it was just our mattress.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
I was peeing more frequently, but I'm in menopause. I was in menopause.
Yeah,
so, that's why it's such a deadly disease, is that we think it's just menopausal symptoms, and it's not.
And it's
so
not.
If you have any of those symptoms that last more than 2 weeks, go to your doctor and tell them you want a CA 125 blood test done.
CA 125.
And that is a tumor marker test, and it will be elevated if there's any kind of tumor there.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us so that we know what to look for in the signs. On top of that, then, so that was 2015, you came through it. And then you left corporate to become a life coach. But was Equus a part of that at the very beginning? Or was that something you learned that, wait a minute,
I kind of learned it on the way. But so what happened was after I got diagnosed with cancer, my perspective on life began to change a little bit, and it took a little while, because I was so grateful that I lived through it and I didn't have really a hard time with chemo. I mean, it wasn't a walk in the park, but it wasn't as hideous as I thought it could be. Mm-hmm. And so, but over the next couple of years, my perspective changed and I realized that I was doing work that did not feed my soul. And I got, every day I got more disenchanted with what I was doing for a living. And I read a book in 2017 on Christmas vacation, and it changed my life. It was a book by Martha Beck. And I decided that I had to learn how to become a life coach. And so I enrolled.
How old were you then? Because I like people to know that they can change careers at any time.
I was 61 years old.
60. I love it. You were 61 and had a complete change in career. Complete change.
Yep.
Did you go to coaching school? Because here's the thing. A lot of people become life coaches, business coaches, career coaches after, I'd say, 50. A lot of us do that, creating corporate, because much like you, they get burned out. They don't find that it's feeding their soul, as you said, anymore. And so they are now going off of the experience that we've all gained. But you probably went next level and went and studied how to be a life coach, correct?
Right. Yeah, I went through extensive training. And while I was in life coach training, I was exposed to working with horses. And it was because of that I decided to add that to my life coaching training. And then I took just the Equus Coaching, which is what I did with you and Lupe.
Yeah.
And I took it to the next level to become a master facilitator so that I could work with groups. And because that's what really fires me up is.
Yeah, and I attended another group session that you had with some of the women inside of our community of second act women. And if I wasn't so allergic to horses, I could have stayed. That was an indoor activity. My eyes were going to be like this big, huge had I stayed. But what is it about horses? Because I think a lot of us hear about Equus coaching for children or youth that are in need or children that are living with disabilities. We hear those things.
So there's a difference between, and that's equine therapy.
Equine therapy. Okay.
Versus equine assisted learning, which is what I do. So Equus coaching is equine assisted learning. And it is, what I do is life coaching with a horse as my co-facilitator.
And walk them through, what does that look like? Because I sort of explained my experience. But say someone comes to an equine assisted, what did you say?
Learning.
Assisted learning coach. So your job is to really, as you say, work with your partner, Chester, or any horse. Those were some huge horses, by the way, at the other one those were huge horses. And then you work in concert with one another, but your job, is to do what you did with me and Lupe, is to pull out, to help us figure out what has got us, stuck in our heads or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you've got, if you think I'm unlovable, for instance, if you have this belief about yourself, then we're going to work at why you believe that and what what we can do to change that belief. And so we kind of peel back the layers a little bit, and we also reframe things and change how you think about yourself. And so it's a it's a process, and it's not the same for everybody, and it's but it's what is the same is that when we land on our truth, we relax, even if it's a truth that we don't want to admit.
Hey, to anybody. Yes, right.
But our body relaxes with it because it's true, right? Instead of holding on to a lie that we've been putting out into the world, right?
Yeah.
So once we relax with that truth, our energy shifts and the horse is more responsive. When you're uptight because you're hanging on to a falsehood about yourself or something else, the horse senses that. He knows that you're not congruent with yourself. And so, he's running around the round pen or on the other side of it, not interacting with you at all.
Yes.
But once you land on your truth, here he comes.
That was so fascinating because, okay, what I love is that you did, you had me better understand, because I'm going to tell you guys before the show, I told Nancy, I said, let's not use the term limiting beliefs because it's coach speak, which is great. That's the things that you teach us. But for some reason, people like me that don't understand sort of sometimes that lingo, I needed more simpler terms. And for some reason, exactly what you just said, I actually just got, because I have heard limiting beliefs a lot, especially being a second act woman and hearing that from a lot of you coaches. For some reason, it just landed with me just now with you saying, because my limiting belief that day was that I'm carrying the weight of Black people as a Black woman, and that you were able to pull that out of me because there were things going on. I don't know if it was George Floyd or something was going on that I could not figure out why I was in such a funk. And I am a person who lives with depression, but seasonal depression. But you brought that out of me. And it wasn't until then at 55 at the time, I'm not 57, that was when I realized, oh my God, my entire adult life, because I don't think in colors. I don't. Some Black people would say, how, or somebody would say, well, how do you not? But I literally didn't. That's not how I was raised by my Texas parents. But because of what had been going on in the world, I had started feeling since 2016, and y'all can date back to what that year dates back to. I had started feeling it. And then I started thinking about, because of you, started thinking about when I was in college, I would walk into, class at Colorado State University, and never bothered me at all that I would be maybe 10 out of 300 people. I'm kind of exaggerating. People of color. I didn't care. But because of you, I was reminded, wait a minute, there was always, whenever I do walk into a group, there have been times where I think I need to speak a certain way. I need to carry myself a certain way. I need to do things a certain way, depending on that circumstance or that meeting or that thing, because I want to prove, and I can't even believe I'm saying that word, that Black people are not what people want to put on us. That we're always in jail, that we're all that bullshit. Yeah. So when you pulled that out of me, that actually, it freed me. And Chester freed me. And I remember Lupe had some freeing experiences that are all her own. So it is, when you're right about the limiting beliefs that we women, what are some of the other limiting beliefs that we place on ourselves? Imposterism. I'm sure you deal with a lot of that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And personally, I felt like I wasn't enough. My first encounter with a horse, this was in Santa Fe in 2017, or not 2017, when I was 60. So Yeah,
7 years ago.
2017. Yeah, 2017. This horse looked in my eyes, and I believed in that moment that I was enough, and that I mean, it was just, I could feel her reach down into my soul. And it, it's just, it's extraordinary what can happen to you when you're in the presence of a horse. It's just extraordinary. And as you know, I have t-shirts, and you've seen me wear them, that says horses are magic, and they are.
Yeah.
They are truly magic. And so it's, it's just something that I wish everyone would experience. And so.
I agree. And so can you give us a few, before you tell us where they can find more about you and sign up, because you do have some things that I want you to talk about that's coming up. Can you just tell us give us a couple of tips for the limiting beliefs that we place on ourselves? And if they don't have an opportunity yet to be with one of your horses, give us a few tips on how it is because women over 50, we go through a lot. We're caregivers on both ends.
Oh, God,
We're dealing with age bias. We're dealing with just all the things that society wants to place on us as women, and that has nothing to do with political beliefs or race or ethnicity. Like, literally, we go through a lot. Of course, more things that are beautiful than not, but still. Can you give us a couple of tips if we are holding on to some things like imposterism and some other things?
Right. Yes, of course I can. So the first thing I would say is you got to listen to your heart or your gut. They don't call it a gut feeling for nothing. When you can get in tune with your body and know what your body feels, you will know that when you have to make a decision, your body will either seize up or relax, basically. And those are cues. Your body is giving you a hint, right? And so listening to your heart or your gut will give you the answers. Everything you need to know about life, you already have it in your inner wisdom. I as a coach am not going to tell you something about yourself that you don't already know.
Boom. Especially us at 40, 50, 60 plus. We know a lot about ourselves. We're still learning, but still, yeah.
So, if I had listened to, all the people around me when I wanted to change careers, retire from my corporate job, do this full time, I would still be chained to my desk downtown.
Yeah.
But I am not listening. I did not listen. And so there's Chester.
There he is. And he's eating a carrot out of my mouth. He was the sweetest thing ever.
Now we need to, Chester isn't a mini horse, even though he looks teeny tiny next to Barbara because she's so tall. But he was a cart pony horse. And so he was, when he runs, he actually prances because he was a show cart pony. And so, yeah, he's adorable, and he's one of my very favorite horses to work with.
Oh, he is the sweetest. Give us one more tip, and then I want you to share the book that they can get, and then spend just a few seconds talking about the retreat that you have coming up.
Yeah. So the other thing that I want to talk about really is being aware of what alcohol does to our bodies, and it's not really just if we're over drinking. Alcohol, like I said earlier, is a depressant, and with the first sip, it changes your brain chemistry. It also is one of the leading causes of breast cancer. And so there is a direct correlation between alcohol and breast cancer. And it's something that we as women need to know about. And
I don't know that.
we're all of us are worried about gluten and, eating healthy and so on and so forth. And yet we're drinking poison. And so it's important to know what the effects of alcohol are on your body. And, if you have problems with it, that's what I do. I can, that's some of my best clients are people who are wanting to change their relationship with alcohol. It's not the only type of client that I have, but many of them are.
So, okay, where can they find out about the 2 retreats that you have? You have one in the United States, and you have one in Ireland.
Yes.
Can you tell us where they can find the one in Canada? Where's the? Tell us.
The first one is in November, and it's in Virginia. It's called Escape to the Chesapeake, and I'm partnering with my good friend and fellow Equus coach, who is also a dream builder coach. And so we're going to be doing Equus coaching and dream builder coaching, and it's going to be spectacular. We're going to be at a cute little inn in Urbana, Virginia, and it's just, right on the water, and it's going to be grand. And then next spring, April 25th-ish, we are going to Ireland, and we're going to be in Dublin for a night, and then we're going to be in County Meath for 7 nights at a beautiful B&B, and we're going to be touring all about. And so,
oh my gosh,
it's going to be really fabulous.
Where can they find more information about that? But then also where, if you are in Colorado, where they can find you. So what is the what is your web address, or where they can find you?
It's AmazingOutlookCoaching.com.
AmazingOutlookCoaching.com. Now, before we leave, Nancy, what are you reading, listening to, or watching?
I am reading Regenerative Business.
Ooh, what is that
How
about?
to align your business with nature for more abundance, fulfillment, and capital.
I love. Will you post that inside of the Facebook community? That would be a good one for people.
I certainly will.
Oh, I love that. Well, Nancy, I adore you. Always have since I met you, and I
adore you.
I mean, for real, it's just been. We gotta finally get that coffee between you, me, and Sarah. But I adore you, and I want to tell everyone, please find Nancy. It is worth the investment in yourself. And if it's not Chester who's going to be with you that day, it's going to be one of your gorgeous on a ranch somewhere here in Colorado, or as you said, Virginia or Ireland. And so thank you. And I want to remind everyone, as I like to say, that, by the way, if you need support, because we did talk about ideation, please dial 988 or contact a friend or family member, right, Nancy?
Absolutely.
Right. If you need professional support, if you need someone to talk you off of the ledge, literally and figuratively, because life is worth living. Now, I always like to leave people with this, that thank you for coming today, but I want you to remember that 40 is the new fabulous. The 50s are the new fierce. And then if you're over 60, like my friend Nancy, you are a force to be reckoned with.
Damn straight.
So thank you for tuning in to the second act with Barbara Brooks and friends. And tune into Single, Savvy, and
Silver.
Thank you.
Silver. Yeah, baby.
On Sundays in August. Thank you so much, Nancy, for coming.
Thank you, Barbara. It was great fun.
Blessings. Bye, everyone.